Alright, here's my 2006 Honda Big Ruckus. About to pull apart the CVT and pull the Variator and replace the worn sliders with a fresh set of sliders. Pretty easy job if you have the right tools. Best one to have is an impact wrench. If you don't have an impact wrench, you're going to need a good size wrench and a Variator holder. But an impact wrench makes it really easy. It's a pretty simple job if you have the right tools. So I'm going to show you what's going on here. I got 22,000 miles on this bike, and the current set of sliders have about 8,000 miles on them. I checked them at 15,000 miles. They didn't look too bad. I checked them again at 20,000 miles when I did the drive belt. They looked okay. So now I'm just going to crack it open before winter comes and put a fresh set of sliders on them. Originally, the bike comes with these rollers. These are roller weights. These are the 26-gram rollers that come with the bike stock. And what I've done is put in these Dr. Pulley Slider Weights. I'll show you guys what these look like. Haven't even been cracked open yet. There we go. So these are sliders. They have a different shape to them, focus, than the roller weights, and they're designed to sort of slide and fit inside the Variator. Give you a little bit more top end, so you're able to go the lighter weight for the torque, but they wedge up just enough to give you a nice bit of top end. $35 upgrade. Now when you're choosing different sliders and rollers, it kind of affects on your body weight. I'm 220 pounds, so dropping from a 26-gram roller to a 21-gram slider gives you a little bit more torque. But because it's a slider, you're not losing a lot of top end on the bike. If you're a lighter person, you want to remain with your stock weights, but it really depends on your body weight and what you're looking for, top speed or rideability and torque up hills. For me, I wanted to go a little quicker off the line, and I wanted her to go faster on the hills. So I sacrificed just a hair, just a few miles an hour off the top end for a lot better rideability. On this bike, I've also done the contra spring and racing clutch springs. Made it a little bit more snappier. That's a whole nother project and a whole nother video for a whole nother time. But for right now, I'll show you how to crack this thing open. Alright, first we gotta get all the plastic off. Doesn't take very long. First thing is this front plastic cover right here. There's two screws here that come out, connected to the air box, and what this little cover does here is it pulls air through the air filter into the CVT to keep the CVT cool. So there's two regular screws here, plastic threaded screws, and then down here are three hex head screws. Now I've replaced the stock ones with these longer stainless steel ones. The stock ones are really shallow and they're really easy to strip out. So when you guys are tightening them back up, the stock ones, just put a little blue Loctite on them and turn them till they're snug. They're about half the length as the threaded holes are, so they're really easy to strip out. And this kid right here, that's exactly what he did. He stripped them out. So I went with these longer ones of the same thread, and you know what, not too bad. So alright, so that pops off. Get that hose off there. So what this does is it pulls air through and funnels air through the CVT right here. Next thing, this big cover right here, it's held on by three hex head. This comes off pretty easy. Once again, I put Loctite on everything on a bike. If you're not familiar with Loctite, do some internet research. You basically put a little bit on the threads, it comes out as a liquid, and when it dries, it becomes a wax, and basically keeps your threads, your screws and bolts from backing out, and vibration and everything won't get the best of you. Alright, when you take these off, there are these little sort of brass sleeves in the plastic. Pull that off. There's these little brass sleeves in here, so make sure when you drop this cover on the ground, you don't lose those in the grass. Alright, the big CVT cover, real easy. Here we go. Here's my tools, and I think these are 12 millimeter. How good of a guess was that? That was an awful guess. These are, what size are these things? There we go. These are 10 millimeter. All right, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, and these are a factory bolt here, and they got like this rubber gasket on it. And you don't need to put these on really tight when you put them back. Once again, you're threading into aluminum, so don't over torque these things. There's a little blue Loctite. There's this rubber gasket that kind of snugs them in. So just a little blue Loctite, turn them till they're snug. Real easy. Alright, there's 2. Look like the little rubber grommet stayed in there. Let's keep track of that thing. These have like a little rubber grommet on them, so they kind of torque into that rubber. Pretty easy to get off. There's 3, 4, 2 more underneath. All right, and one more down here below. And there we go. Is that all of them? Yep, that's all of them. Now this big cover will come off. Pops right off. There is a rubber gasket here. Alright, so the rubber gasket fits around the outer edge. Has these 2 metal plugs that kind of keep it in place. If you don't mess with it, it should just stay on there. Easy to put back on if it comes off. Alright, here we are. Look at that, just took a couple minutes. Here's your variator in the front, here's your clutch in the back. Like I said, on my bike, I've replaced the contra spring in here with a heavier spring. I replaced the clutch springs with slightly heavier springs, so it gives you a little more slip on takeoff, and the contra spring keeps it a lower gear longer. You can do your own research on that. I put a lot of time into it. So this is the big nut we need to get off here. This we need an impact wrench. If you don't have an impact wrench, you got 2 holes here, and there's a variator tool to keep it from spinning, and you got to break it with a big breaker bar wrench. Impact wrench makes quick work of this variator. I'll show you here in a second. I think I got the nope, that's a 19 or 20, I think. Let's see what we got. Oh, even bigger. What size is this thing? 22 millimeter. All right, I got my impact wrench over here. Oh, don't need the adapter. Zip right off. All right, so you got this big bolt here. There's a washer behind that, so make sure you kind of remember the washer goes under that bolt right there. Put that aside. Now we'll pull the variator, or the your driven face off. Here's your driven face right here. 22,000 miles, very serviceable, very clean, very good shape. Get the belt out of the way, and we'll slide off our variator. All right, here we go. Same thing on the variator here. There's a driven face on that. Once again, nice and smooth, serviceable. Here's the drive boss right here. This fits down the side there. Now, when you flip this thing over, here's the back of it. All right. You slide this back plate out right here, and we'll get to the inside of that in a minute. Matter of fact, I might have to take that inside and blow it out, get some of the dust out of it. All right, so this is the back plate right here. It has these little plastic drivers. These things do wear out over time. Mine are in pretty good shape. I inspected them last time, and for what I'm looking at right here, they still look like they are in pretty good shape. Inside the variator. All right, so here are our rollers right here. or sliders, excuse me. So what we're going to do is pull all these sliders out and replace them with nice clean new ones. I am going to pause the video, run in the house and get some compressed air and blow the belt dust out of here. These should go in one way, so remember the way they go in. If you don't remember, Dr. Pulley gives you a little diagram in the bottom of your box right here to remind you. You'll see that one side has the brass exposed, focus, and the other side's closed up, and the Dr. Pulley shows you how they should go in. I'm going to stop this video really quick and run inside for some compressed air and clean all this belt dust out of this thing. So stand by. Alright, so we're back. Alright, so what did I just do? Well, as this belt wears out, it leaves dust, and the dust gets everywhere in there. And even though the belt's only been there about 2,000 miles, there's a lot of dust. It doesn't really affect anything, but the inside of the Variator here was filled with that black dust, and rather than fire up the air compressor, I had some compressed air in the house and I just blew it out. Pretty easy, not a big deal. Alright, so the way these things go in, looking. So just get them all out of the case here. So Dr. Pulley's telling me right on there, okay, the closed side should be facing towards you. So I'm gonna lift this thing up. There's the closed side, and I'm just gonna drop it in place there. Alright, and then you'll just follow suit. So the brass should be facing this way. Alright, so there's our brass facing that way. Once again, facing inside. And here's another one. And then here is another one. Alright, so they're now all seated in the way Dr. Pulley's telling me they should go in there. Looks just like that. Perfect. They're all seated in place. They go in dry, no fluid, no grease, no anything's on them. They're like a really slippery Teflon, nylon, who knows what they are, but they're really slick. So they're all in place the way they're supposed to be. Now we take the back half right here and we go ahead and slip that on. And there. Now that's in place. Everything's in there the way it's supposed to be. Now this gets driven back over the crankshaft here, and our drive boss here goes right over that. Everything's nice and in place there. Now here's the trick. You don't want to torque down on this belt. You want metal on metal. Very, very, very important. Let me see if I can get in here close. Let's see if I can zoom. Zoom. There we go. Thank you, camera. So your driven face has these little notches in it, and they have to catch these notches right here. Now this shaft here goes directly into the engine, and that is your crankshaft on the engine. So what you don't want to ever do is screw up these teeth. So you don't want to torque down on this belt. You want the belt out of the way so that these teeth can catch and this can be metal on metal. And I'll show you how to do that. And if anybody's ever had a 50cc scooter or other Ruckus, or it's all the same. And this is very important. These two plates right here, the belt sits between, are spring loaded. So what you want to do is you want to pull outward and then get this belt out of the way like that. All right. So you pull these two pieces out and give yourself some space. So now that when you put your driven face on, it's not up against the belt, it's metal on metal. It's where it's supposed to be. All right. If you torque it on the belt and it's not metal on metal, as soon as you start driving it, it starts to wobble and it wipes out those teeth, and you got to rebuild your motor. Not trying to scare you, just make sure that slack is in there. As long as this belt's free moving, you're good. All right, now, big washer goes on, and I use Loctite Red. Some people are gonna go, oh my God, Loctite Red is permanent. Nothing is permanent, but you damn well know it ain't coming off. So a little drip of Loctite Red there, don't hurt. Now, what you want to do is tighten this up by hand first, okay? So it's all the way up and all your metal is against other metal. I'm not left-handed, sorry. Switching hands. All right, so I'm going to torque this thing down There's a lot of Loctite on there already, so it's stiff. And until everything is not moving anymore. There we go, it's hand tight. Now, double check. Is this belt loose? Belt's loose. Is this metal to metal? It's metal to metal. I'm gonna bring my impact wrench back out with that Loctite red on there. Easy peasy. All right, this thing's where it needs to be. Loctite red, torque wrench. Should I get an actual torque wrench out and torque it to factory specs? Sure could, but an impact wrench, a little Loctite red, good enough. It's been on that way for 27,000 miles, we're good. Now what'll happen is this belt's loose now, but as soon as I start the motor up and I spin this thing, it'll all catch and lock back in place, and you are in business. You are good to go. All right, so let's put it back together. All right, our gasket is where it needs to be. So we'll get the case back on. That's where it is. Now on these smaller bolts that go around the case, I just put a little drop of Loctite blue. Here's my Loctite blue on each of these so they don't come backing out on me. A little drop, and another little drop, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. All right, and get these things in there. There's 5 of them. Of course, let me get the most difficult one to get to first. Oh, gravity. Started by hand. There we go. Get it by hand. Tighten that bad boy up. All right. And like I said, don't torque these things. Just get them till they're snug. And we're good. That rubber torques them in. We got another one right here. Can't see. We get started by hand first. There we go. And same thing. Snug it up. Like I said, just turn these things till they're snug. Do not overdo it. All right, another one down here. Get that one started by hand. And once again, just snug. Another one over here. Back the camera up so you see a little bit more of what I'm doing. There we go. All right. And snug. And there's one left. And that one goes down here. So we get this in here hand tight. Snug it up. All right. And she is snug and happy. All right, got this big plastic cover goes back on now. Once again, don't lose your little brass spacers in there. Put that on. Well, it's not going to stay until I have a screw in it. Same thing. I just put a little dab of Loctite blue on each of those hex heads that hold that thing in. So we'll get that on, get that in there, get it lined up. There we go, hand tight. Hand tight. Hand tight. And get this hex driver out here. Once again, just snug. Remember, all these things are tapping into aluminum. So don't get all Tommy torque wrench and start stripping your threads out. A little Loctite blue. And until they're snug, that's all. These aren't structural parts. These things aren't holding the bike together. These are just covers. All right, and you put the Loctite on there, they're not gonna go anywhere. And look at that, perfecto. All right, last cover. This one goes on here, covers this up. There's a little hose here that gets, oh, not off camera, there's a little notch here. That hose gets fed through that little notch. Just kind of keeps it out of the way. And this snaps back over the airbox. She's right back where she needs to be. Hose is in there. These plastic tapping screws go in there. Up here. Figure out where my screwdriver went. Oh, know where your tools are. And when you're rethreading plastic threaded screws, you remember they're making their own taps. So what you do is you turn it backwards until it kind of falls into a notch, and then thread it back in. This way you're using the same thread every time. Because if you just keep threading in, it's going to make new threads every time, and it's going to eventually strip it out and wipe out all the threads. So anything that taps in the plastic, turn it backwards, falls back into the original threads, and then tighten that bad boy up. Look at that. All right, that's on. All right, last thing that goes on, my 3 longer stainless steel hex heads. Same thing here. I'm going to put Loctite blue on each one of them to keep them in place. These are not the original ones. I stripped those out. Shame on me. And these are ones that are better anyway. They're longer. All right, so you find the threads for that. Snug that thing up. Remember, just snug it. Don't torque it. It's aluminum. These aren't critical structural parts. They're just covers. All right. Here. Snug. And snug. This last one on there. And we're good. Done. Not sure how long that took. Somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes. So, all right. I would start it up, but it's in the grass. So, there you go. Easy done. Those things they usually last about, depending on how hard you ride, 7,000 to 8,000 miles I've been getting out of them before they start to wear a little bit. I think the rollers, you swap them at 10,000 miles. Don't quote me on that. Read your owner's manual. But I sort of over-maintain everything. Like I said, it's been a good bike. I've been happy with it. Lots of mods. I got the aftermarket seat here, the rear rack and top case. Up here in the handlebars, I got my Oxford heated grips, hand guards, USB power port, RAM mount. Under the seat, I got a fuse block for the electronic accessories. And she is a good bike. So any questions, hit me up in the comments. Maybe another day I'll re-tackle that contra spring and racing clutch when I have the proper impact socket to take it apart, so my video is better. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know if you need any help with anything.